Crisis management (CM) requires a broad range of skills. They cannot be reduced to rules or algorithms. By their very nature, crises are unbounded and unstructured. This thereby severely limits the role of cognitive intelligence and thereby that of artificial intelligence, or AI in CM. Before we starting, if you see value on this content, make sure to hit that subscribe button, like and share to help other people to reach this content. Why emotional intelligence is key for crisis management. Because of the need to deal with the difficult emotional circumstances that crises create, CM often demands that one score highly in emotional intelligence. The need to respond appropriately to the emotional states of others is one of the most critical requirements of CM. In short, the rules of human engagement are neither bounded nor well-structured. It's not just that the rules are different for different people, which they are, but that they are different for the same person depending on their mood and that of others. Not only are they a function of the context of a particular situation, but of the innumerable social and psychological factors. This is especially the case with regard to crisis management. Further complicating matters is the fact that in many cases, the rules are unconscious. As such, they're not available for explicit, let alone systematic examination, and thereby discussion. This is not only true of individuals, but it's especially true of large organizations where the rules of the game are deeply embedded in the corporate culture. Indeed, in many organizations, the rules are so taken for granted that even for longtime members, they are largely silent and invisible. Other skills necessary for crisis management. While organizational intelligence may not be regarded as a recognized component of IQ, nonetheless, it's one of the preeminent ways by which humans make sense of their world. Indeed, those who are especially adept at reading the mood and spirit of an organization, and thus how to fit in, have mastered one of the most important factors for success. In a crisis, more often than not, this kind of organizational know-how counts for far more than cognitive intelligence alone. More than sheer brain power is required in making sense of and thus managing crises. Although it's a fundamental part of emotional intelligence, the ability to empathize with the emotional and cognitive states of others needs to singled out. It's one of the most important things that make us human. As such, it's not reducible to rules any more than feelings are. Another key requirement is the critical ability to see the big picture and thus make connections between things that on their surface are loosely connected. This is especially critical in crisis management, where very different, distinct types of crises are capable of triggering one another, thereby setting off uncontrolled chain reactions. Other key requirements are in the ethical and spiritual realms. There are noticeable differences between people with regard to their appreciation and use of different ethical and moral systems. In the same way, not everyone is sensitive to the stirrings of spirituality. One of the hallmarks of spirituality is the ability to embody peace and calm in the face of extreme turmoil, especially that which is part of virtually all crises. It includes the basic capacity to persevere in the face of overwhelming odds. Dialectical acumen is also critical. It's the basic ability to seek out and hold in one's mind two of the most opposing ideas and still retain the ability to function. It's the appreciation that given the unbounded and ill-structured nature of important problems and issues, they need to be subject to the most rigorous debates we can muster. The final position that survives and/or emerges from the debate, which is normally neither of the original positions, the synthesis is the one deserving of our consideration. The point is that every aspect of major crises is subject to debate, starting with what are the basic crises. Finally, among the most critical of all is wisdom. It's the ability to recognize and honor the standpoint that just because something can be done, technology being the preeminent case, it doesn't mean that it should be done. As such, it's deeply intertwined with ethics and spirituality. In short, does one have the ability to learn the key lessons that every crisis has to teach? Why AI is not suited for crisis management? The point remains. Given all of the distinct ways by which we know and interact, AI is greatly limited. It encompasses very little of the multiple abilities and ways of knowing that are the quintessence of what it is to be human. It's not that technology doesn't have a critical role to play in aiding important decisions, but that we shouldn't deceive ourselves into thinking that all of the things that make us human can be reduced to collections of rules, algorithms. To do so is to devalue precisely what makes us human. The problems crises we face are increasingly unbounded and unstructured. They call for the most creative thinking we can muster. Without it, we have no hope whatsoever in meeting the insuperable demands that are the very essence of all crises.